friends, Sabrina here. Glad you are here today with me. This is a beginner vinyasa flow. This is going to be very beginner friendly. We're going to move at a slower pace and go into a little more detail about the poses that we're flowing through. So when you are ready, so today we will use a strap and a yoga block. But if you don't have those props, they're not required. But if you have them, go ahead and grab them. If you don't have a yoga strap, you could also use some type of rope or a belt. And then you could also grab either like a blanket or a pillow to use in place of a block in some poses as well. And let's go ahead and get started in what's called a child's pose. So when you're down on your mat, you're just going to draw the knees to about the width of your mat. And then from there, you're going to draw your big toes to touch. And you can sit up. If this is bothersome on your knees, you have several modifications. So this is where a block could come in handy. So you could sit on a block, a pillow, you could fold up a blanket, sit on that. And then from there, you're just going to start to walk your hands forward, extend your arms to the top of your mat as you let your chest sink down. So this is our child's pose. And child's pose is a resting pose. So during this class or any other classes that you might be taking, if you ever get to a point where you just need a break, a child's pose is always available. So just lower down and take a child's pose whenever you'd like to as you practice. And then once you've found your version of child's pose, we're going to start to practice pranayama, which is just breath control practice. So we're just going to start to become more mindful of our breath, of our breathing. And I'll walk you through some breathing exercises. So from your child's pose, just start to notice your breath. And if it's comfortable, you can close your mouth. Continue to breathe in and out your nose. From there, you're going to start to slowly lengthen out each inhale and exhale. So nice and slow, nice deep breaths in and out the nose. Maybe start to extend your breaths a little longer. We'll take a few deep breaths together. Starting with your inhale, let this next inhale begin at the base of your spine. You're going to inhale through your nose, belly and chest expands. Breath reaches all the way to the top of your head. Pause, hold your breath for a moment, and slowly exhale, let it all out. Nice and slow. Once again, just like that. Slowly inhale, belly and chest expands. Pause at the top of your breath. Slowly exhale, nice and slow. Inhale. Pause at the top and slowly exhale. This time we're going to inhale and exhale for 4 counts, starting with your inhale. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, pause, and exhale for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. And from here, continue your deep belly breath just at your own pace. If you can, work on keeping your inhales and exhales equal counts, so equal lengths. And at the bottom of your exhale, as you inhale, start to lift your torso. You might want to walk your hands in just a little bit, just for a moment. As you exhale, we're going to sink down. As you exhale, start to walk the fingers off to the right side. So off to like the right corner of your mat. You're looking for a nice side stretch along the left side of your body. So think stretching all the way from your left pinky all the way through to your left hip. Okay, so once you walk your fingers over to your stopping point, that's when you're going to exhale again and fold forward. 2 deep breaths here. On your next inhale, lift your gaze just a little bit. Maybe lift your torso as you inhale. We're going to walk the hands back through center. As you exhale, let's go ahead and sink down, finding a child's pose. On your next inhale, go ahead and lift your gaze. Maybe lift your torso slightly. This time we're going to walk the fingers all the way to the left side, so off to the left corner of your mat. Then once you're at your stopping point, as you exhale, you're going to fold forward. And again, you're looking, this is a side stretch along the right side of your body. So think right pinky all the way down through to your right hip. On your next inhale, go ahead and lift your gaze. We're going to walk the hands back through to center. And then one last time, go ahead and fold forward in your child's pose as you exhale. And then from here, on your next inhale, let's go ahead and walk the hands back in. So your torso is lifted. And then from here, so if you did decide to sit on a block or a pillow or anything else, you can go ahead and remove that. And we're just going to kind of come onto one side. And then you'll extend both legs forward. So we're going to set up for a seated forward fold. So legs are straight in front of you. You can also prop that pillow underneath your knees if that feels best. So think feet flexed. Again, you're going to sit tall. So here, if you have a yoga strap or like a belt or some type of rope that I was mentioning earlier, this is where you're going to use it. So you're going to place the strap to the balls of your feet. And you're going to grab the ends of the strap into your hands. From here, again, sit tall. And then when you are ready with a tall spine, begin to fold forward. I always say lead with your heart here. So you want to keep your tall spine as you fold forward. Again, it's perfectly okay to bend into your knees, or if you wanted to prop something underneath your knees, that's perfectly fine as well. We'll take about 2 more breaths here. on your next inhale, let's go ahead and lift the torso. And if you decided to use a strap, you can just place it off to the side for now. So from your seated position, we're just going to keep the right leg extended, but we're going to bend into the left knee. So the sole of your left foot is pressed against your right thigh. You can also, so if you have a block or anything, you can place it underneath your left knee if that feels best. From here, you're going to sit tall, and then actually if you want to use your strap here again, you can. You're going to place the strap to the ball of your right foot. Again, sit tall, and on your next exhale with a tall spine, begin to fold forward. And again, you can bend into your right knee as you fold forward. It's about 2 more breaths here. Notice your hips. You want your hips squared over the right leg. For example, you don't want, your torso coming off to the left. Try to keep your hips squared over that right leg, and that'll give you a better stretch. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and lift the torso. You can remove the strap for a moment, and you can remove the block for a moment. You're going to keep your left shin on your mat. You're going to plant the left hand behind you. And we're just going to start to lift the hips. So think lifting the hips up towards the ceiling as you come onto the left shin, drawing the right arm all the way up and over. So your right fingertips are going to be pointed back to the room, towards the back of the room. Keep lifting those hips and keep stretching the right fingertips back. All right, you want to feel that nice stretch. 2 more breaths. And on your next exhale, slowly lower your hips back down. And we will switch legs. So let's go ahead and extend the left leg, and we'll bend into the right knee. And again, so right foot is going to be planted to the inside of your left thigh. If you are using a block, you can use that block, place it underneath your right knee if that feels best, probably especially around your hips. But you do not have to use a block. You're going to sit tall. If you are using a strap, you're going to place the strap to the balls of your feet. And if you don't have a strap, you can also just, with a tall spine, you're gonna fold forward. You can just place your hands somewhere on your left leg, or if it's available, you can take your hands to like the ball of your left foot as well. All right, just whatever variation you decide to take, you're gonna fold forward with a tall spine. All right, so if you're using a strap that straps to the ball of your foot, make sure you're squared over the left leg. And then when you are ready, begin to fold forward. Notice your hips. Try to get your hips so they're squared over the left leg. Again, bend into your left knee as much as you'd like to. It's about 2 more deep breaths here. On your next inhale, you can start to lift your torso. We're gonna remove the strap. We'll do the same pose that we found on the opposite side. So this time you're gonna place the right hand behind you. Your right shin stays on your mat. We're gonna start to lift those hips up towards the ceiling as you extend the left arm all the way up and back. So left fingertips are reaching towards the back of the room. Keep lifting those hips. And we'll stay here for about 2 more breaths. On your next exhale, let's go ahead and lower the hips back down. From here, you can come to like a cross-legged position. We're gonna make our way into a tabletop. So if cross-legged isn't working for you, just slowly make your way into a tabletop position. Toes are untucked. We're gonna move through cat-cow poses. So from your tabletop position, shoulders are over your wrists, hips are over the knees. Just gonna start on your next inhale. You're gonna start to drop your belly as you take your gaze forward. And this is called a cow pose. On your next exhale, you're gonna start to lift your upper back as you draw your chin to your chest. And this is called a cat pose. So chin to chest, toes are on top, tops of feet are still pressed down onto your mat. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and drop the belly, gaze forward as you flow back through your cow pose. And on your next exhale, start to lift through your upper back as you draw the chin to your chest, flowing through cat. This time we're going to flow through just a couple more rounds to our breath. So nice and slowly take your inhale, find a cow pose. Nice and slow as you exhale, lift through your upper back, find your cat pose. Slowly inhale. Inhale takes you to cow pose. And your exhale, again, nice and slow, will lift you into your cat. And your next inhale will take you to a neutral spine, tabletop position. Puppy pose. So keeping your hips over your knees, you're just gonna start to walk your hands forward, eventually letting your chest sink down. So palms are flat, fingers wide, just let your chest sink down here. This is one of my favorite poses, especially if I've been sitting a lot. This is also a pose that you can do from a chair. There's a chair variation of it. We'll stay here for about 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, you can start to walk your hands back in, finding a tabletop position. Let's go ahead and tuck the toes, and we're gonna lift into our first downward facing dog. So you're probably gonna have to place your hands forward a bit. From there, toes are tucked, you're gonna send your hips up and then back. This is a downward facing dog. So hands are flat on your mat, fingers are wide. Feet are gonna be about hips distance apart. And then gaze is behind you, just looking back between your legs. Think of your tailbone lifting up and then towards the back of the room. And then it's kind of natural for me just want to pedal out my feet while I'm here. So you're gonna bend into one knee as you straighten the other. Just nice and slow here. You're gonna feel a nice calf stretch. Let's go ahead and bring both legs to stillness. So from your downward facing dog, let's go ahead and lower down into a high plank. So you're just gonna lower your hips down. There's gonna be a long line from the top of your head to your heels. Engage your core here. From your high plank, go ahead and lift back into your downward facing dog. So as you do that, you should have very, very few adjustments transitioning from high plank to downward facing dog. So that's typically the space that you want in your down dog. So for example, you don't want your hands all the way back here in your downward facing dog. So a good way to kind of measure and get comfortable with it is to find your high plank. And then from there, send the hips up and back into your downward facing dog. So it should be very fluid with very few adjustments having to be made. On your next inhale, gaze forward. You're gonna slowly start to walk your feet to the top of your mat. And once you're at the top of your mat, we're gonna meet in a halfway lift flat back position. So hands are to your shins, shoulders drawn down your back. And a lot of times for me, like when I say shoulders drawn down your back, it kind of means also like, you don't want your shoulders shrugged up here. You want to release them down your back, like away from your ears. So it's almost like they're pulling down away from your ears. And again, you're going to feel that nice stretch along the backs of your legs, hamstrings, and calves. On your next exhale, slowly fold forward. As you fold forward, you're going to bend into your knees as much as you'd like to. And we'll hang out here for several breaths. If you want to, sometimes, me included, I like to find a ragdoll, especially in my first forward fold, especially when I know we're going to be here for several breaths. So if you want to, it's not like mandatory, you decide. If you want to, you can grab opposite elbows. You're just going to let your head and neck be heavy. Relax your head and neck, and also just let your arms be heavy. And then maybe, if you feel comfortable here, maybe if all of your weight is back into your heels, so if you can lift your toes up off of your mat, try shifting that weight forward, all right? So you want even weight distribution, or even place a little more weight up into your toes here, but be very careful, be very cautious. If you grabbed opposite elbows, let's go ahead and release the arms. And then from here, as you inhale, halfway lift, flat back, hands to your shins. Exhale, fold forward. As you exhale, if you do have a yoga block, you can also use that block for hand support. So as you exhale throughout your practice, it's always you can use those blocks for support at any time. So exhale, fold forward. This time we're going to come through to a standing position. So as you inhale, draw the arms all the way out and up. At the top, palms come to touch. Hands to prayer position at heart center. Tree pose. We're going to start on the right side. So right foot stays grounded on your mat. You're going to start to pick up the left heel and then rotate the left knee out to the left side. And then you decide where you'd like to take this pose. So if this is challenging for you right here, keep your left toes on the mat and work on balancing right here. If you feel comfortable, you can lift the left foot and place it anywhere on the inside of your right leg. Just avoid the knee area. I personally like to manually lift my left foot to the inside of my right thigh. And once you've found your variation, hands to prayer position at heart center. As you balance, find your drishti point, which is just a point of focus that's not moving. Keep your awareness there, and that will help your balance. We're going to slowly make our way out of tree pose. So if the left leg is lifted, we're all going to meet with both feet grounded on our mat, so left foot down. And we'll slowly find tree pose on the opposite side. So this time your left foot stays grounded. Come onto the ball of your right foot, rotate the right knee out to the right side. And then from there, again, if this is challenging, if you feel like you're working on your balance right here, keep your right toes down. Or if you'd like to, you can place the right foot to the inside of your left leg. Just avoid the knee area. And draw your hands to prayer position at heart center. Again, find your drishti point. So again, that's your focus point. Try to keep your awareness there. You're also going to notice all four corners of your left foot equally grounded down onto your mat. Alright, so let's go ahead and slowly make our way out of tree pose. So you're going to start to, if the right leg is lifted, let's go ahead and lower the right foot back down. And we'll meet in a Tadasana, also called mountain pose. So you're going to stand tall at the top of your mat, arms by your sides, palms forward, shoulders over the hips, hips over the knees. On your next inhale, draw the arms all the way out and up. As you exhale, swan dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. As you exhale, plant the hands. Let's go ahead and step the feet back into a downward facing dog. And then from your downward facing dog, let's go ahead and lower one knee down and then the other. So we meet back in a tabletop position. From your tabletop, you're going to extend the right arm high. So shoulders are opening towards the right side. Maybe lift your gaze over your right fingertips if that's available. From there, you're going to thread the right arm underneath your left so you land on your right shoulder. So right palm is faced up. You can relax your head on your mat. You can take your left hand and extend your left arm to the top of your mat if you'd like. And we have about 2 more breaths here. If you extended the left arm, let's go ahead and draw it back in. Place that left hand down. We're going to extend the right arm high. Maybe lift your gaze for a moment and right hand back down. Opposite side. Extend the left arm high. Maybe lift your gaze over your left fingertips for a moment. Go ahead and thread the left arm underneath your right so you land on your left shoulder. Again, relax your head on your mat and maybe extend the arm, your right arm, towards the top of your mat. And just about 2 more deep breaths here. If you extended the right arm, let's go ahead and draw it back in. From there, press off of the right hand as you extend the left arm back high. Tabletop position, left hand meets your mat. From your tabletop, you're just going to lower your one hip down. We're going to come into a seated position down on our mats. So cross-legged position, whatever feels good to you. Again, you can use props here if it bothers your knees or your hips. You can place blocks underneath your knees. If you have everything propped, you can use those as pillows as well underneath your knee. Also for better alignment. And then, so find your comfortable seated position. You can also extend your legs forward. If you are in a seated position, you can rest your hands on your knees. Tall spine, top of your head's lifting up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and close your eyes. We'll take a few deep breaths together. Starting with your inhale. Inhale through your nose. Belly and chest expands. Breath reaches the top of your head. Pause. Slowly exhale. Inhale. Pause at the top of your breath. Slowly exhale. This time as you inhale, draw both arms all the way out and up. At the top, palms come to touch. As you exhale, hands to prayer position at heart center. The light within me honors the light within you. Together we bow our heads and say namaste. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed that and I hope to see you back on your mat very soon.